Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are so glad to have each and every one of you here because why? Well, this is the show we do each and every night. Geraldine Orozco is going to be our guest. We're looking forward to her joining us here momentarily. But first, we got to say hello to each and every one of you, including Eternity Eternal in the gold medal position. Ann B with a silver, race fan with a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Rashid. Michael Morris, the attorney at large. Carol Amario, how are you? Frankie B, nice to see you. Hi, Robert Lamoth and Kitty Caddywhack. Desert Rat, good to see you. And Lee the Bee, nice to have you here. Scrolling on down, Susan Ahern is here. Susan Ahern will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Forrest Louie, nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call. There's Les Paul Holland. Dragonfly, nice to have you back as we continue on with our roll call. Thomas Rock, nice to have you here. Hi there, Cosmic Joe and Hillbilly Herb. Good to see you both. Little Timmy James. How you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. And Operation Shutdown. Thank you for coming on in. JMJ12 is here. JMJ12 will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Hi, Destiny Rocks, J Truth Seeker, and Necessary Dialogue. Good to have you all here in the studio. Thank you for joining us. Warden Dragon, Woo Poo. How you doing, Derek? And Jennifer Beveridge, how are you? It is freezing outside. Freezing. They don't even have a temperature on the screen. It just says very cold weather. I think it's about minus 25 degrees Celsius. So it's about minus 15 Fahrenheit right now. Algaray over on Twitch, 2,000 push-ups to prepare for Geraldine Orozco. His arms are jacked for tonight. Akryong, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Number 16 in your program, starting at left wing from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson. Bar Madison, nice to have you here. Laura Lobbs, nice to see you. Thurston Howell III, how's Lovey doing? Ethanol. And the Eric Andreas Unexplained, how you guys doing? Thank you for coming. East of the Rockies, good to see you. I'm Hardcore. Welcome to SOR Chat again on X, my friend. Thank you for my shampoo. I got a haircut. Today. What do you guys think? I even got the beard trimmed. Yeah, I'm feeling good tonight, actually. Summer Side of Life, Flat 6. Good to see you both. Hi, Pixter. How you doing, my man? Where have you been hiding? Haven't seen you around. Scrolling on down. Oh, we are caught up. Look at that. It's good times. Mike Bothwell. Good to have you here. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate you tuning us on in. Wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You coming up with you. We're going to get into some alien chatter here. And we're in roll call on YouTube. And right now we're caught up But that's okay. That's okay. We're going to get it going here momentarily. Momentarily. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And you can always shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? Tim's yelling in the background. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can check our stuff out. You can wear it out in public and actually be proud to wear it to more places than the paint store, the flea market, the garage sale, the secondhand store, the dollar store, or anywhere else. It's that good. I promise you. It's that good. Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. This, my friend, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair as our headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock up, News Wire, check out our site as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Jive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Jive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a grove of action and entertainment tonight. Geraldine Orozco from Bay Area Meditation is going to be with us for the Spiritual You. She will be joining us momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller has a spooky story from the forest. Then Robin Haynes is going to join us for the Cryptid Report. Now we're just waiting for Geraldine to get here because she's having some computer problems right now and she cannot hook up with us. I guess there was a power outage in her place and she's having to reboot her router again. So we're just going to continue on until she gets here. But she promises she's coming. Oh, yeah, she is coming as we continue on with the show. Because you just can't stop a show just because of a router issue. No, you got to keep going. But I got to tell you, I'm having troubles talking tonight. Yeah, I am. I bit my lip tonight really bad, and I got a giant bump right on my lip. Right on my lip. And it hurts. Not going to lie. It hurts. Here's what happened. Every night, well, almost every night, my 11-year-old son and I have a game of floor hockey. We got the mini sticks, we got a foam puck, and we got little cardboard boxes as nets. Not a big target. So he's beating me 4-2 tonight. And I got the puck in my zone. And all of a sudden he drops his stick, says, "Let's go, Dad." So even though, there's a 40-year difference between our ages here, kid challenged me to a fight. I had to go. You don't just say, "No, son, we can't do that. This is hockey." I had to go. So I did what any good father would do. I jerseyed him, pulled the jersey right over his head and threw him on the floor and then told him that was it. So we get back up. We have a face-off because it was at the end of the second period. Go into the third period. We drop the puck for the third period. We play 4-minute periods. And I'm playing the puck, minding my own business, and he drops his stuff again. And he jumped me. And I thought I had him tied up. And then he cracked me right in the lip, and I didn't realize that I had my mouth open, and I bit my lip. Like just underneath the lip on the inside. I'm like, you little. And he hit me hard. He hit me hard. And I'm like, dude, that hurt. He's like, don't mess with me, Dad. And I'm like, you little son of a gun. You little son of a gun. How do I even be mad at that? You know, seriously, I can't be mad at it. After all, it is hockey. Real hockey, not this crap they play in the NHL these days. But yeah, it hurt. You know, I did what every father would do, unless you're over woke. I went with him. Yeah, I went with him. Proud I did. Happy that I did. I took the third fight because right after we finished that one, we had a face-off and we had a third. So I went 2 for 3. So I'm pretty proud of that. I still lost the game 4-2. After a 3-game winning streak, I'm down. Lost the last 2. But is what it is. Is what it is. Not much happening in the UFO world right now. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty happy about that. I was scouring X earlier today trying to find something to actually talk about with UFOs, just because I like to keep in touch with what's going on. Nothing. All the sources that I read, whether it's Joe Merja or Askapol or many, many others, it's just reiterating all the same stuff that's come out the last couple of weeks. Just not interesting. Really isn't. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is a nice break from what's turned into a really highly controversial subject. It's turning into a very nice break. And I'm pretty happy about that. Because when you hear the same story over and over again, it just gets a little bit too much. I'm curious to see where the Jake Barber stuff is going to go. That's the whistleblower who claims to be able to summon UFOs with what he calls psionics, which the rest of the UFO world calls CE5. I'm curious to see where that's going to go. But I'll tell you, I swear some of these people live on X. Do you ever go on X and actually see what's going on? It is the same names each and every night on there. Each and every night. Right? It's like, it makes me wonder if they have jobs, or if they have jobs, are they working for themselves where they have time to spend like 7-8 hours a day on X? Do they have families? You know, I this is stuff I wonder. Do they have families so that way they don't spend time with their kids or their spouse because they're too busy screwed around on UFO X or UAPX, whatever you want to call it? I'm very, very curious about that. Because here's the thing. And Geraldine will be with us here momentarily. She's just getting her computer fired up. I want new information. I'm jonesing for new UFO information. Not the battleground that X has created this subject. I want to know what's going on. And I think if I, dig deep into my head, I do believe there is going to be some interesting things coming on. I really do believe that there's going to be some very interesting stories coming up very, very quickly. We may not like them. We may not like it at all. And what I mean by that is I'm wondering if we're actually being told the truth. And the question is, what is the truth? And you've heard me say that many a time. But the skeptics are coming out very hard against Jake Barber. I think he's done an admirable job trying to hold that together. That's a fight I don't want. I don't care if anybody listens to my believes my story or not, but I wouldn't engage with it. I really wouldn't. All right, you've heard enough of me. The lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco is here. Geraldine is the owner of Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California. And each and every month near the beginning, she joins us for what we call the spiritual you. She's a pranic healer. She's a DNA reprogrammer. She's a hypnotherapist. And I know that it actually works because she reprogrammed me a little bit. Yep, yes, she did. And she's also a contactee and experiencer as well. Let's bring her on. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, I wish our radio audience could see you because you are stunning as the lady in red tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so great to be here. I'm so happy to. Is there a little echo?
No, I don't have any echo whatsoever.
Perfect. Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about the delay. My internet went out earlier today. We had to restart my router. So thankfully we're good.
That's okay. That's
Yeah.
very much okay. How's the year started out for you?
Amazing, amazing. This is an exciting year. Lots of changes, preparing, lots of work cut out for us. So it's good. It's good.
My question to you is, are you ready to have your phone blown up at the beginning of April when I'm in San Francisco? Because I'm going to
Yeah.
be pestering you like every 10 minutes. Are we hanging out? Are we hanging out? Are we hanging out?
I have my phone right next to me, Dave. I'm waiting for you. Yes.
Yes. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
I thought we would get into a conversation tonight. What do the aliens really want with us humans? Because I don't know if you've been following the whole latest whistleblower story by a gentleman named Jake Barber, who is now claiming CE5, which their term is psionics.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if you've been following that, but it's about summoning UFOs. It's about being able to get some sort of emotional, spiritual connection with craft. You and I have talked about this for about 8 years on this show. But
Yeah.
since you and I don't wear military patches, we're not retired from a service, no offense to all the great veterans out there, our opinion on that doesn't seem to matter. But all of a sudden, a guy who, served admirably for the United States military, and God bless him for it, now, all of a sudden, everybody's taking this seriously, like it's the first time they've ever heard of this.
Right.
What's
I
your
know.
thoughts on this, Geraldine? Is it ridiculous or is it all part of a game?
Oh, well, I honestly, when I heard it, I thought it was so beautiful. And I have so many thoughts cross my mind because it's like, wow, so what's happening now that we're talking about this so openly, right? Because what does that mean? And the fact that they use the term psionics, it raises a little concern in the back of my mind, just based on the history of contact and manipulation of psychic abilities and also technologies and communities that are kind of merging with ET contact. And anytime those have become, mixed or interfered with or confused with. So that definitely raises a flag for me. However, in my mind, I think it's fantastic that we're finally respecting this important element of the fact that our emotions is the key element in contact. And I'm so glad that you brought it up because it's something that I also wanted to talk about. The stories of millions of contactees who have had contact and they embody love and divine feelings of emotions and connection to the divine when they're in the presence of these beings. That's something that's been recorded for such a long time. So it's fantastic that they're talking about it.
The one thing that I love about this is exactly what you said. The fact that I am blown away that this conversation has finally hit the mainstream. And
Yeah.
I think that is wonderful. I think it's great. As somebody who has summoned UFOs before, as somebody who is an experiencer myself, I'm like, finally, the door has opened. The
Yeah.
door has opened to this conversation. What I don't like about it, and it's the same thing as I hate the term UAP.
Mm.
I'm not as I'm not I don't feel as bad as psionics, but I always worry when these government officials or ex-military people come in and change the lingo and the wording that we've been using for years.
Mm.
Everybody
Hmm.
has been using the word summoning. Everybody's been using the word CE5, but that's not good enough for them because those two terms indicate woo. And when they use the term psionics, it makes it sound a little bit more professional. It makes it sound like it has a little bit more clout for a realm of study. At least that's my opinion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, if we break down, psionics, like what does that actually mean? I mean, we're talking about psychic phenomena and the utilization, the application of psychic phenomena for communication, for interaction, intercommunication. So I do, in a way, like that these terms they are finding some sort of official language to discuss this phenomena from a scientific perspective. I do hope that there is further research on it in order to provide support for those that are still, on the edge on these topics. Because I think that we are in the midst of a major revolution, really a renaissance of science technology right now. This is just the beginning. So any effort that is put towards allowing ourselves to solidify the way that we feel, the way that we understand this terminology, this understanding of the phenomena, it's going to help us move in the right direction. As long as we are aware of any kind of controlling operations or technologies that are going to be put out in order to measure or limit the ability of this. Because once we open the gates of psionics or psychic ability, psychic, technology, internal technology, you cannot control that and you cannot close that. And so that'll be interesting to see how it is perceived and managed in the future. But people have to um, allow themselves the inquiry to develop their own abilities, to study it, to get familiar with it, because this is the future. It's the future of communication, and it's the future of the technology that's going to be put out soon.
I agree with you 100% on that. And I think that there is something to be said about that. But I always get my concerns and my hackles up when I hear these people who we've never heard of before blatantly blowing off the UFO and experiencer community, coming up with new terms and trying to make like this is the first time we're hearing about this. This has been going on for decades. We've been reporting on this show, we've been going for a decade now, and we have been reporting on summoning and everything in between for a decade. This isn't a new subject. Maybe the way they're explaining it is new and the technology that will come with it, like they want to develop into AI firmware that can maybe track any of this, which I think is exciting. Okay, I don't think it'll properly work because I don't think the phenomena wants to be tracked. But that's for
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
a different time for a different conversation, maybe a little bit later in the show. But to me, as we got about 4.5 minutes left before we go to break, Geraldine, to
Yeah.
me, it's about trying to gain control of a new part of this conversation.
Hmm.
For the first few years since 2017, when the To the Stars Academy came out, it was all about we're not allowed to talk about this.
Yeah.
This is all nuts and bolts. We don't want to talk about that weird woo tinfoil stuff.
Yeah.
Well, now the tinfoil hats are being thrown to the ground, and they're saying this is reality.
Right. Right. Yep. So get ready because even more is going to come out. And so I think it's a good test on discernment. Those of us that have been in the field for a long time, and even we've gone through moments of doubt and wondering, like, is this the right thing? Should we change it? Should we speak of it differently? But in reality, anchoring in our truth, anchoring in what's right, and listening to the thousands of contactees from around the world who are constantly having contact and reporting this activity for such a long time, the evidence and disclosure has already been there. There's nothing new. So it's okay for them to have their moment of, celebration and acknowledgement. But hopefully that brings strength into our community, and again, unity into the community, unity, so that we can try to expand this research, expand all of it.
Can we unite over this subject, though, especially if we have no clue what the narrative is?
Exactly. That's the thing. I think there's a lot of disclosure that is still going to come out in regards to. I think the disclosure is more about their narrative rather than the actual content. The UFOs that are government made. That technology that has already been reverse engineered or already existed since the 50s and developed since then is going to come out. And I think that how we manage that, what that means for airway, technology, airway regulations, everything has to change. So that's going to change our world in a big way. But the psychic phenomena, the connection that we have to the ET consciousness is a whole different aspect of that. So I think they're going to try to diminish that part, maybe to some extent. They are talking about biologics. They are talking about alien beings or interdimensional. They don't know how to name them, but non-human organisms that are operating this craft, that are a technology that is non-organic. It is potentially psychic. So let's see how they formulate their understanding of that.
How would you start that conversation? If you were in control of this narrative, what would Geraldine Orozco do?
Well, my perspective is kind of looking at the future of the topic, because first of all, we need to understand the construct in which we exist. This is a holographic construct. This is my perspective, and it is quite supported from many like physics papers and research on our construct. We do seem to be existing in some kind of holographic construct. That being said, the way that we interact with any other being of consciousness is going to be, in a sense, holographic. So the way of interacting is very much bioelectrical. We are interacting through our bioelectricity in the body, through our emotions. We project these experiences externally. So it's important to understand that, because that's going to help us understand how this very advanced technology is actually working. Without that understanding, you can't really understand advanced technology, because advanced technology is based on self propulsion systems that are generating and psychically managed through organic technology, or we are organic technology. So I think a deep understanding of how our multidimensional bodies function, how our astral projection, the technology, the psychic abilities and faculties that are involved in astral projection are all going to help us understand this level of advanced technology, because all of that is being implemented in moving through portals and vortices in which this kind of travel is taking place. A Tear in the Sky by Coraline Corey did a great job in explaining how literally there's like a portal that is being opened from which these crafts are coming in and out of our atmosphere, and even in the water. So that kind of understanding is something that happens when we connect with our deep, deep self, our own biology, our own technology. So from my humble perspective, I really feel that we need to get very familiar with what we know here and now.
Well, let's hold that thought right there. Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. And what do aliens want from us? Really? We'll find out next on the Mighty SOR. All right, we are clear.
Awesome.
How do you like the fedora?
I love it. I was just going to tell you, you look fantastic.
Thank you. I got my hair cut today.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's a little all over the place, but
God, you have
I
so much
kind of
nice thick
look like
hair.
one of them little troll dolls here if you mess my hair up a little bit. Mhm.
That's funny. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. It's cold out here, Geraldine.
Oh my God. I can only imagine.
Take a guess today.
Um, negative 15, 20?
Yes, you're exactly right.
No way. Which one, 15 or 20?
It's minus 25 degrees Celsius. So
Oh,
convert, not concert. Convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So it's minus 25 right now.
oh my
So that's
goodness.
minus 13 Fahrenheit.
That's terrible. Terrible. I think it's like 50 degrees out. It's cold. It's
Just
been, I don't
keep
know, it feels so cold.
about this 50 degrees.
Yeah, today we had a power out. The storm and the winds were so strong. I mean, it was just the I don't know, it put down some houses went into the water, mudslides, all kinds of problems. So,
Oh my, that's horrible.
yeah. Wow, people are freezing. Negative 77 degrees in Canada. Wow.
Yeah. What will be? Let's see. If we go to Weather Network, what will our cool temperature be tonight? Let's see. Let's see. Full 72 hours. Let's go full 72 hours. At 3 a.m., it'll be minus 26 Celsius. And
Mm.
it warms up tomorrow. What do we got tomorrow? Um, well, it's a high of minus 17, so that's not too bad.
Wow.
That's hoodie weather. You just need a jacket at that point.
Hoodie weather. Oh my God.
You get activated.
You wouldn't even recognize me over there. I'd be a snowball of, I don't know, cushions. I don't know.
You would have like 6 pairs of pants on just to keep warm.
Yes. Even
Mhm.
here in Tahoe, I wear like 3 pants. Snow pants, thermal pants.
Now, be honest. Do you have long johns? Do you wear long johns in the winter?
Is a long johns the bodysuit? Like the
Yeah,
thermal?
yeah.
No, I don't have I don't have one of those. Those are a good idea though, because those are warm. I just got like thermals, like regular thermals.
I don't even have thermals.
Oh my God. You're
Now,
amazing, Dave. Your cells, you have those brown cells. Famous brown
I
cells.
let's see. Today at my daytime job, what was I wearing? I was wearing my Blundstones with dress socks, dress slacks, a t-shirt with a sweater over top, and my winter jacket. That was it.
Slacks?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. How are you not freezing? It's probably snowing out there. Isn't it snowing?
It snowed yesterday and the day before, but it didn't snow today.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be when do we get snow again? Hold on. Let's take a look. Because it's gonna be now we're in the cold snap, so it doesn't snow during the cold snap. But it is supposed to snow let's see. 7 days here. When do we get snow again? Oh, we don't get snow until Friday. Saturday. Saturday
Oh,
is when it's supposed to snow. Saturday and Sunday.
yeah. Wow.
That's good.
Did you go
Much
out to your forest again?
No, can't get out. There's too much snow right now.
Yeah.
Hmm. Going to get you to hold on right there because we got to say thank you to Susan for kicking off the super chat tonight. Wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Hi, Kevin Kennedy. And hello to Delta Tessercat. Nice to see you. Free Paul Demon. Good to have you here. Don Donaldson. Thanks for coming on in. And who am I missing here? Blue Cruz. Just Ryan. Nice to see you guys. Lee, how you doing? And I think we are caught up. Oh, and Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Rexamillion, how you doing? Trucker Andrew, good to see you. Here we go, everybody. It's a balmy -25 degrees Celsius outside SOR headquarters. For our American friends, that's 13 Fahrenheit. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Geraldine Orozco is here. We're going to figure out what these darn aliens want with us, because they are here, unlike many people in the government try and deny. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, nice comment from Andrew in our chat room right off the bat saying, everybody needs to check out Geraldine's meditation session. The last 2 times I astral traveled into 2 different galaxies.
Wow.
How awesome is that?
That's amazing, Andrew. Thank you for seeing you. I always see him on my channel. He's amazing.
I'm hoping to see Andrew at the Nebraska Bigfoot conference again. Saw him there last year. Gave me a nice hat and a belt buckle.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah, great guy. Fantastic guy. You know?
Amazing.
I love meeting our fans. Love it. So let's talk about these aliens here for a second. We talked about the psionics. We were kind of into that for a minute. Do you think overall the ET presence on this planet really wants to communicate with us? Do you think they really want what people would describe as disclosure?
Who? We or ETs?
Them aliens. The aliens you got, the aliens I got.
Well, you see the way that my research has shown, and this is research based on working with contactees, researching the family history, researching what passes down through generations, and then looking at anthropologically around the world how contact has been recorded, documented in the world. Okay. What my conclusion is that ET contact is something that is stored in our memory, in our collective memory. It is something that is not only part of the bioelectrical memory system of the morphogenetic field, but it's also, it's in our DNA. So we have literally this term, which is now very popular, star seeds. The seeds of a star, essentially talking about how we are kind of very deeply interconnected to some lineages, some species off planet or otherworldly lineages. I believe that it is encoded in our DNA, and the place that we are born in this planet, the cultural bloodlines that we connect with all have influence, very, very strong ancestral influences with some of these species more so than others. So in my opinion, they have been in contact and they are existing here among us. They are with us. We live interdimensionally with them here on planet Earth. There are even inter-Earth beings which we interact with, and we have historical connection, and we can even interact with them interdimensionally here on planet. I mean, the stories and the experiences of that are all the time, constant and happening everywhere. Even here in Shasta, I mean, there are, portals in many portal places around the world that seem to be hotspots for contact, for sightings, for interdimensional activity. So in my opinion, wherever we go, we are activating this memory system in our body through the grids of the earth, as well as through our own genetic ancestral outline, our blueprint, we have stored the communication of these beings, which emerges from us when we begin to access a certain vibrational frequency. So right now, collectively, the frequency of the collective has risen, and everyone is beginning to talk about contact, ET contact, in this way, because you cannot hide, you cannot suppress, you cannot ignore the very open visibility and interaction that this phenomenon is having in our everyday cultures, in our societies. So this is something that, when we talk about who's trying to communicate with who, we are them, they are encoded within us, and we interact with them. And there are many species that have been here on Earth since the beginning of time. There are also species that are connected to military. There are species that are connected to, specific, important, powerful energy spots on this planet. And we communicate with them in dream state all the time. Most people don't remember that because of the vibrational frequency. They don't remember. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen for people to begin to remember lucidly their interactions in dream state. But when they do, this information starts to come out. So do they want to communicate? Yes, they are in constant communication through us. Primarily in our entire life purposes, there is a lot of profound synchronicities that a human wakes up and becomes aware of. And those help guide the human in understanding their starseed lineages. And I think ultimately it's a conversation of vibrational archetypes that the human is becoming aware of and interacting with. So when we talk about ET contact in the physical world, this is why I'm saying there's a difference between Earth UFOs, so technology of the Earth. It's very different than interdimensional technology, like real ETs. Interdimensional technology is a plasma-based system of energy that's bioelectrical, and it's a psychic technology. And so, we'll see if the government, and if they have that kind of technology, we'll see if they promote that, if they, present that into the public. But I think that communication has been happening and is happening. And humanity, as they begin to open their higher faculties, you can communicate and access advanced models of civilization. And I think that's the most important part, that if we listen to the messages that are coming through this kind of ET contact, your own individual contact, your own experiences are extremely important to find clarity on what is happening. There's also another element that I think that the human race is, because we're constantly interacting, and we are among these species are living among us. There's a lot of portals on this earth that allow us to navigate into other motherships and crafts that are surrounding the planet Earth. A lot of people tune into that. And a lot of people are visiting these crafts in their dream state. They get taken up into the crafts. They have experiences, sometimes taken into other planetary systems in dream state as well. So, this kind of activity has been happening for a long time. And I know for the average person, this sounds completely insane, like you're listening to a sci-fi film, but these are realms that are completely been documented for centuries. People have been talking about these realms, depicting them, drawing them, and talking about them through story. The Hopi Indians, I mean, you name it, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Tibetans, the Mayans, the Egyptians, all the Celtics, all of these ancient civilizations have had contact, and we are still having that contact.
Before the break, we talked about psionics and initiating contact with ET. So we believe that people have the ability to do that. Do we all have that ability? I tend to think we do. And when we go out and set out to do that, how do we know who we are contacting?
So Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. I think that the vibrational frequency speaks volumes. This is why understanding the language of vibrational frequency for us is important. And how you're going to recognize that is by becoming familiar with your range of emotions, because vibrational frequency in the body is an emotion. It's an emotional response. It's a biochemical response in the body. And then it's also a neural pathway. Okay. So in the human, when we have some triggering event, it immediately triggers all of those systems simultaneously. We don't know that because it's, happens so quickly and immediately and instantly. But essentially, as we learn that, we begin to develop the language of frequency, which allows us to understand energy. Energy is essentially this language that we're having. So having the communication with these beings is all about frequency. We project, and there's laws to this universe that we have to also understand. The law of resonance, for example. We gather in groups. We are attracted to people that are on the same vibrational wavelength. We think it's synchronicities. We think it's random. Sometimes we think it's just a coincidence, not a synchronicity, a coincidence. We think it's a coincidence. We think it's random. No, we are moved in this planet Earth through frequencies. We gather through frequencies. So really, there is no experience that the human has that is not directed by that subconscious emotional impulse and creative charge that is put into this holographic system. So that's something that we have to understand, because that's a fundamental rule to how we're navigating both waking state, like me, you, here, all of these listeners, and dream state. Dream state, whenever someone has an experience, they are navigating aspects of their subconscious mind. They're in their subconscious are their starseed lineages. It's their reptilian aspects, draconian aspects, Pleiadian, Arcturian, you name it, whatever species, millions of species that might be available to that human through their frequency, and the history of their ancestral lineage, the frequency of their ancestral lineage. So we are attracted, we are interacting with the species which are encoded within us. So sometimes our contact can be extremely traumatic and negative, and other times the contact can be very positive. For the majority of the people that are waking up consciousness, a lot of their experiences tend to be positive, because they are just waking up consciousness in the middle of an experience. And that's the thing. It's very important not to take these experiences literally and in the way that we perceive them, because our perceptions are very filtered, very limited. It's really important that we train neutrality and the 0 point in order to try to access as pure of a filter of perception as possible, or no filter at all, really, able to experience it as authentically as possible. In that way, we can discern easier. That's how we train our discerning mechanism. The cultivation of your intuition as a daily practice, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, training your intuition will help you, so that when you are in dream state and you are interacting, you understand and you can intuitively connect to what you're connecting to. And the moment that we experience fear, that's usually when there's a drop in frequency. And another aspect to that point is that a lot of experiencers report that when they're on board craft and they begin to feel fear, usually these beings will eliminate that fear from their body, because you don't want to have that emotion. We don't understand how powerful, how creative our emotions are. In a sense, it's like a frequency polluting the space. It's an energy that's polluting the energetic space, the environment, and they don't want that. There are other species that they thrive off that. So they will trigger fear, or it's part of their primordial makeup. They will trigger very fearful experiences. So the human feels fear, and oftentimes that energy is suctioned from them and they are depleted in that way. So, there's different ways of interacting, and ultimately, the more you know yourself, the more you know anything that you are interacting with, and you cultivate a strong discernment. I guess the biggest takeaway, there is no right or wrong, and there is no good and bad in these interactions. And that's a major learning curve that the entire human race is going to go through as disclosure becomes more open, because it's disclosure will completely deconstruct our construct of the world as we understand it. It's going to deconstruct the financial systems, education systems, even the foods that we're eating, historically, education, because what is being taught in schools will no longer be valid. It's going to disrupt many of the systems, including religious organizations, and how those religions historically are holding true based on an understanding that there has always been interdimensional presence. The technology that's being put out today, that's not just coming up from nowhere. That it's been a long time coming, and there's been many versions of that technology that has been tested in the airs for a long time. So people will have to understand that. They're going to have to come to terms with that. So it's important for us to exercise kind of a perception flexibility, because the unknown is the most fearful thing for humanity right now. So we have to learn how to become friends with that, especially at this moment, because we're entering into a phase of major tumultuous changes, in those departments.
Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You, continuing on here on the show. Is it safe, Geraldine, for people to be doing this? Do you recommend that people go out there and try and summon and contact ET species?
Yeah, I mean, yes, and again, see, the bridge will be, the gap of that bridge is going to be united when people understand that they've been having contact in their dream state all along. But I guess people will get there. But okay, so let's talk about summoning. My answer is yes, because why? Because well, it's very true. Be careful what you wish for, right? Because when you do wish for contact, you are going to get contact. That's something that has been proven over and over again in this field. You develop a certain, you create your reality. Fundamentally, you create your reality. But on the other side of that, this will help humans exercise and train their interdimensional abilities. What does that man say in the interview? The feeling that he felt was the love of his mother, the divine. It's a feeling of divinity that he never, he was not so familiar with. This is something that I've experienced. You've experienced. All of us that have had contact have experienced in these realms. So when you anchor that feeling into your everyday life, everything changes in the perception of your reality. So this is a jump in advancement of human psychology, human perception, and it's absolutely necessary. This is the missing link in the advancement of humanity away from parasitic survival constructs of reality. So it's extremely necessary that we train ourselves to develop that connection, to open ourselves to be open to that divine connection and become familiar with that divine connection. Because again, the real technology is all based on that frequency. And that's when we get to connect with high vibrational beings. So yes, in my opinion, it's absolutely.
See, I don't know if I fully agree with that. To all due respect to yourself and your answer, the reason why is I talk to a lot of people daily, as
Mhm.
do you, but our crowds are very different. And a lot of people that I have talked to over the years say, I don't care if it's a good experience, if it's a bad experience. I just want an experience. I want to know for myself that these beings are real. Whether they take me up into space and put a needle in my eye, whether they anal probe me, or whether it's all peace, love, and light, and maybe a little teasing on the side, that's what they are wanting to have. And this is where I'm not sure that if you're going into it with not understanding the what's the word I'm looking for? The consequences, it could be a dangerous thing.
And I agree, but the thing is this, that you learn eventually. And I used to think exactly like you. Exactly like that, right? Let's not play with fire. Here's the thing though. This human experience is all about learning how to master the experience of contrast. It's experience, pure experience, whatever experience that is. And I think it's essential for human to exercise their free will. And the thing is that disclosed contact is not something that you can control. Every human is going to have contact in the next 5 years, whether they like it or not, because of the vibrational frequency of this collective that we are in right now. This dimensional plane is entering a higher octave. And as a result, they are talking about disclosure so openly because they know they cannot hide it anymore. That's inevitable. The veil is lifted. It's being lifted. It's lifting even more. So inevitably, it's part of our architecture. We are multidimensional beings. You cannot hide that from yourself or another. In my opinion, it's important to practice that when you are in the face of the draconian or the being, the scary being that you're in front of, you learn to regulate your nervous system, to be able to hold and anchor your free will in how you are interacting with those beings. As it's been stated in all ancient literatures from all the greatest masters in history, their ability to master their emotional state in any presence of any dark entity, devil, whatever it was, is the alchemy of the human into a higher state of consciousness. And I believe that it's necessary for us to do that. That's part of our free will, and it's inevitable. So, I really feel that humanity is more prepared than we think. It's just that people get too distracted with media and with narratives. We get pulled into narratives without connecting to ourselves. Most people that are deeply connected to themselves, they don't question. They don't question their experiences. They don't question their contact. It's an invitation for self-trust, to develop self-trust and the cultivation of that. And also, this goes down to the point that we create everything. And that's why I feel that talking about the fundamental laws of our construct are really important right now, because if you go into the experience without understanding the laws of the universe, you're not going to know how to navigate the experience. If you change your emotions, and I hear this time and time again in ET contact experiences, as soon as the human changes their emotion from fear into love, it changes the outcome of the interaction with the beings. It changes what is happening. So we have a lot more power than we think, but we need to know from where we're moving. And that has to be rooted in love. Love not as an emotion, but love as the mastery of the navigation of this construct, from a place of profound harmony. We need to come into harmony with ourselves and the beings that we're interacting with. What's in the future? It's unity consciousness. And if we look at the models of all the advanced civilizations that have existed on this earth and on other planets, the key was this pinnacle point that we're in right now. Will humanity integrate with this interdimensional aspect of themselves in a way that is harmonious? Or will we focus on enslavement, manipulation, lies, deception, fear, and then split the humanity into two? Because that's the potential direction that we're going into right now.
That's a tough one to try and figure out. It really is, because it sounds so right, but there's still a lot of red flags that go and red tape that go along with that, especially from the governmental side and their influence. And I'm not sure how free will be affected by that. Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break at the top of the hour. The awesome and extremely talented Geraldine Orozco is here from San Francisco, California, Bay Area Meditation.com. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. We will be right back with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio and the Spiritual View with Geraldine Orozco. This is Spaced Out Radio. with host Dave Scott.
Awesome. I'm going to go grab a little bit of tea. I'll be right back.
Background, I'm going to step away as well. We'll be right back, everybody. All right, I am back. Oh. She's chilly out. All right. Hi, Tim Mothman and your goatee. Starseed Awakening, nice to have you here. Wise Ass McCoy, good to have you back. Scott is my middle name. Mac Geek, good to see you. Thank you, Sierra. Thank you to our super chatters, Mel WD40 with the special lube chat, Andrew and Susan. Very much appreciated. If you have questions for Geraldine, put them in capital letters. I will get them to her this hour. Xanos, how you doing? Good to see you. Kurt M., here we go. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Welcome to the show. If you just tuned us on in, we appreciate it. Orozco back. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Valianton. Valianton is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We bring in Geraldine Orozco from GeraldineOrozco.com. She joins us every month for a little show we like to call The Spiritual You. We talk a lot about aliens. Tonight we are talking about ET contact. What do those aliens really want from us humans? Geraldine, welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much.
Before we get going, do you have any public appearances coming up?
Yes, I do. I'm going to be at the Orion's conference for Portal to Ascension March 1st. And then I'm going to be at, what is that? I'm going to be at the Biomed Expo in Los Angeles in April. And I'm not sure the date exactly on that one. I just, let me tell you right now. When is that? Anyway, you guys can find all of the events on, April 4th to 6th, Biomed Expo in Los Angeles. And then some other things that I'll be posting on my website. Check out GeraldineOrozco.com for that information.
Perfect. You're always traveling around somewhere. And maybe, just maybe, I'm going to throw this out there, just in case you want. We're going to Vegas.
Oh, you are?
May 1st to 5th. We're going to Vegas.
Oh, that's wonderful. You guys are having your gathering?
We're having a gathering. We're not doing a show. It's just a hangout session. And maybe a trip out to Rachel, Nevada for a little Area 51 look-see. But we're heading there. So if you want to join us, you could do that too.
Thank you so much. I will let you know for sure.
Absolutely. All right. I'm just going to hit you right up with this. What do you think the aliens really want from us? Are they as bad as many people say they are? Are we prepared for this type of contact? What do they want from us?
Well, I think ET contact is part of our evolution, and it's part of the activation of our understanding that we are multidimensional human race. Our human race is multidimensional. I think that just like we are evolving and we are embodying and we're learning and we're processing the alchemy of this life into becoming more whole, more complete, more loving beings, they are also processing in their evolutionary cycle as well. They evolve just like we do. So there are many different reasons why we interact with them. Some of them have to do with hybridization, for example, the concept of life being bridged into this planet. And essentially, life bridged into this planet is something that we participate. We are hybrids as well. Our DNA, we have a lot of starseed lineages in our own DNA that we inherit into our ancestral lineage, but also we are also creating bloodlines off this planet in other solar systems. And I think we need to change the way that we look at ourselves, because we're not just this physical body. We're not just these organs that are creating another living organism, but rather we are creating we're a vortex. We create little micro vortices of consciousness. We create these beings that anchor consciousness into different dimensional planes. So I think that there's many agendas of this, from low frequency to high frequency. The lowest frequencies are let's say the hybridization crafts that are incubating seemingly thousands of little babies to create souls that are interdimensional beings that are traveling in other planetary systems. But other parts of this agenda is simply to help educate and learn. We learn from each other. We learn from them when we become aware of them. We go visit their planet. We interact with them on board craft. Oftentimes they are teaching us about the technology. They're teaching us about advanced states of consciousness, advanced models of civilizations, which is what we hope to anchor into this timeline. And so, it's an exchange that is occurring. I believe that there is an exchange that is occurring. And there are more parasitic exchanges with beings that are more nefarious and entities that are darker. There is that, but there's also higher vibration. So it really is up to us, and it is necessary for us to be aware of both kinds of interactions. And ultimately, the human has a lot of free will about how they are interacting with these beings based on our clarity of our purpose. The more we are clear about what we need to heal and what needs to change in order to become more harmonious beings, the more aligned our interactions and the exchanges that we have with these beings become. Oh, Dave, I'm sorry, you're muted.
I do that all the time.
Sorry.
It, it's my bad. Are we looking at this as a spiritual connection for, a consciousness connection, a mental connection? How are we to maintain or develop that contact?
So yes, it is a spiritual, but the thing is that spirituality is going to be merging with science pretty soon. Okay, so if we look at the spiritual science of things, which is the connection of how our multidimensional body functions biologically, we are bioelectrical systems of memory, and we are also vortices of energy that through the emotional body are inputting data in order to receive exchange. We interact and we stimulate the system of creation through our emotional body. So I think that we participate in that tremendously in our free will. We are very much choosing how we are interacting.
Okay. If we do not have a grasp on what our consciousness is, or how to control it, how to meditate, how to relax, anything that kind of goes along with that, how can we expect to make contact or even understand if we're making contact with these ET individuals?
Well, To be honest, we're doing it. We're doing it whether we're aware of it or not. And what do I mean by that? We actually employ a lot of our psychic ability all the time. We're just not aware of it. So most of the time, anytime a human is empathic, and we're all empathic to some level or another, we're exercising these higher faculties. We tune in to our intuitions, we follow our senses, we follow the gut feeling. All of those are the mechanical tools that are used to develop interactions with these beings. It's the same mechanisms in our body that are translating the language of vibrational frequency from these beings. So in terms of contact, it is about consciousness. I mean, everything is consciousness. There's a field of consciousness from which we pull, right? We pull from this source being infinite potential, which is animating this physical body, the physical body being a fractal that is interacting with many fractals of ourselves. So I guess to answer the question, I mean, we are very much using these intuitive abilities, and the more grounded we are, the more present we are, the more we recognize them easier, and the more easy it is for us to develop them. So development of our intuition is absolute priority, because it's through the intuitive body that we expand our range of vision. And when I talk about vision, I mean, we are only the basic color spectrum, right? The basic color spectrum that humans are allowed to process through their eyes, is usually what humans are only aware of. But we're actually processing much larger bands of frequency through our entire body all the time. You go into a haunted house, you feel a cool rush of air, a cool rush of temperature, really, really cold temperature. So that's you tuning in to the sensitivity of your body picks up another shift in dimensional presence, dimensional awareness. So, we're constantly interacting interdimensionally. I think the more that we cultivate presence and awareness, we can develop these abilities as a natural. And I think that, we talked about telepathy tapes last time, but I think that essentially the development of these tools as a norm is something that is going to become mainstream. And that is the gateway to contact. When we begin to develop our intuition, we begin to develop lucidity in our dream state. We begin to remember our dreams more. And our dreams are when we are navigating these interdimensional states with these beings, these ETs, all of like these entities that we're interacting with. All of that is happening in dream state.
How do we make it physical to the
Physical?
physical?
Well, I think our understanding of physicality also kind of has to change, because we are physical beings, but we're only matter up until a certain point. Otherwise, we are energy. Okay, so everything is really energy. It's just different densities of frequency. This density of this physical body, density of the space around me, and what it picks up from around me. So these beings are not really physical as much as we are not physical. They are less physical than us. So that's why our interaction with them is taking place in dream state. When we leave the physical body, that's when we can interact with them more freely. And that's usually where we begin to have these interactions. So in some cases, the physical body is also affected by that. That speaks to how we hold our vibrational frequency in the body.
See, for a lot of people, they don't want that mental connection. They see the ETs as being a very physical being, not more of a spiritual entity that many of us kind of know. When people who've never had an experience or even had one, but on a mental scale, they still want that confirmation of, seeing an alien for themselves, just to know that what they had experienced in dreamland or in their spiritual realm, that they actually were able to validate it for themselves. Whereas the people who haven't had contact, they may not understand. So seeing one on a physical plane, say walking through your yard or in your bedroom or whatever is what they are going to need for conviction. So, how do we kind of bring or bridge that gap between the spiritual aspect of it all and the physical contact?
Yeah, there is no difference. That's the thing. We want to compartmentalize that, but there is no difference because we're talking about the construct, and the construct has an architecture. We're basically moving in and out of different dimensions. That's really all that's happening. Even when we're in the physical body, our physical body has to hold a certain vibrational frequency in order to enter into another dimension. In the same way that I was removed from my room, taken through the wall, and I felt my body dissolving and then coming back together again, and then being taken on board a craft, and then waking up the next day with burn marks and aching body and then psychic abilities as a result. That happens to this matter, changes in its vibrational frequency as a result of entering into another dimension. So there are effects, and those effects ripple through the dimensions in the densities of your being. When we try to think of these ET beings, even if they manifest seemingly physical in front of us, the fact of the matter is that their construct is multidimensional, and it's interdimensionally entering in and out of our dimension. So that's something that I understand it's hard to understand, but the truth is, and the reason why that's true is because the way time and shape and form changes when we interact with these beings. A lot of people experience missing time because you're being taken into another dimension. Time is different in another dimension. The construct of time, it might be 3 days and you feel like you were gone only 1 hour, but you were in another dimension, and then you have all these physical side effects as a result of that. So this is moving in and out of dimensional planes. So with these beings, they're doing the same. And there's many experiences around the world. Look at the experience that happened in Bolivia, for example, where an entire city had a UFO come into the city. And what they saw is that the aliens, these gray type beings, were coming out of the ship, and they changed their shape from super giants into small beings in 1 second. And they were jumping and bouncing, and almost like rubber legs and rubber arms is how the people describe it. But every single one of those is a small, very, very small little town. They all saw it, they all experienced it, and they all had dreams and side effects, like psychic side effects as a result of the experiences. And they all moved immediately after that. They were terrified. They never wanted to come back to that place again. The city closed down. They cleared the lot. The place where the UFO was left a giant ring in the grass. All these things. So these beings are affecting physical matter, but ultimately they are moving beyond our understanding of time and space. So we can see them and we have access to them because our vibrational frequency is a match. And that's why actually one of my presentations that I'm going to be talking about at Biomed Expo and at Alien Expo, which is the same weekend, is exactly about how alien contact really is the way that we interact with aliens or ET beings is really encoded in our DNA. It's from our DNA that we are projecting and having the access to these species and these beings. And the whole world is going to be having these abilities. So one thing that I want to mention, a few months ago, I received kind of a download that there's going to be a kind of a false disclosure event that it's gonna be probably the government, or I don't know who, creating a UFO sighting with seemingly aliens beings, and people are going to get terrified because of that, because they're going to try to make it from a military angle that we need protection, that we need to make sure that we have more security, more control, more government weaponries and all these things. But that will be like a false situation that will scare people. And so the difference is, it's very clear in the difference, because these interdimensional beings don't usually interfere in that way. These high-level interdimensional, usually only the beings that are connected with the military and are working here, on Earth in these very parasitic models, are the ones that would try to do something like that. but no harm will come to humanity from these beings. And that's something that most contactees can understand that, but people that are new to this probably won't understand that. They won't understand the difference between the beings. And that's why this conversation about love is so important, because that's the defining factor. How do you interact with beings? Come into your highest level of emotional, of love that you can, not emotion, love. And that will help you navigate those experiences.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got 3.5 minutes before we go to break here. I want to get in a quick question for you.
Yes.
Sierra is asking, Geraldine, who or what then is preventing disclosure in your opinion?
Well, I mean, it's you see the narrative since the beginning of time. I mean, since this goes all the way back to the very conception of even religions, and then after that, the industrialization of humanity. There's major social engineering away from the true connection of and development of the human. The human is multidimensional in its nature, and that's been weaponized against humanity, and it's been suppressed historically as a result of religion by creating of an external god or external power, political by creating war sections and weaponry, and creating systems of control politically that have made the human feel that they are deeply disempowered from their innate multidimensionality. So this is a very, very deep socially engineered system that has a huge connection to eugenics as well, which I don't want to get into too much right now, but essentially, because in our DNA is the activation of our multidimensional ability, and when you inject fake foods, GMOs, pharmaceuticals, you get drugs, alcohol. It destroys our DNA and our genetic memory. So the human cannot remember their ancestral memory. They cannot remember past lives, future lives. And that is where you would understand ET contact very, very easily. So as opposed to indigenous cultures that were deeply connected to nature and connected to those natural cycles, they had open contact, open communication, open interaction. Messages were very clear, and nobody was talking about wars and weaponizing this kind of activity. So this is something that our human race is waking back up to. So there is a global agenda for this kind of information suppression. It's not just U.S. government; it's a global thing. And although most countries are very open about their contact, the way that the narrative is pooled, is something that subconsciously the human becomes afraid of. That's something that we have to discern and wake up from. So all the films, the sci-fi films that you've seen, that have instilled fear that there's going to be aliens that kill or eat you alive or do stuff like this, that's deeply rooted in our subconscious mind. And that has to change, because that's not the reality. If the human was more disconnected from technology and more connected to nature, they would know that, and they would experience that very clearly. So, this is part of our human experience here, and it's something that we have to learn to discern from.
Is it healthy? 30-second answer.
Healthy? Which part? Contact?
The contact.
Yes. It's part. It's inevitable. It's part of every human, and we must learn how to master it. Yeah, free will in our contact.
Oh, the old free will coming through right there. We have Geraldine Orozco until the top of the hour. We are glad to have her here each and every month for our segment that we call The Spiritual You. She comes on near the beginning of each month to talk about all of these great subjects that we love. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right. We are clear. We're just going to quickly say hello here to Michael Dyer and Mark Bolden. Good to have you back in the chat room, my friend. Let's see here. Who else came in here? Baby UFO. Aloha to you. I will ask that. That's actually a great question. Soccer Satan, how you doing? Blue Pac-Man, got your question. Some good questions tonight, guys. Good question. Stu F. and Gerson, how you doing? Shaq Russellford, got your question. Tracy Winters, I got yours. All right, we're caught up. We are caught up. Joshua Rosa, welcome to SOR Chat. If you're new here, do us a favor. Hit subscribe. Ring that bell. We'd greatly appreciate it. You need a back crack, don't you?
Oh, I need a massage. I think I'm going to go get one this week. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've had massages the last 2 weekends.
Oh, Dave, lucky you.
Yeah.
I haven't had one in, I think, over a year.
Oh, man. You know what I'm dying for? I'm dying for a pedicure.
Oh, nice.
I like a good pedicure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Not gonna lie. I like a good pedicure.
Yeah, go do that. That's going to be so nice.
There's just something relaxing, except when they scrub your feet. Then it tickles, and I don't like that. I don't like that. Where they use the hard brush.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't like other people doing that service. I really rather do it myself. I don't know
Oh,
why.
not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I need one of those. Could use them. I'm getting a massage this weekend too.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Friday too.
Yep. Bigfoot, the ultimate podiatrist. That's hilarious, Blue Pac-Man. Mm-hmm. I've drank 4 glasses of big glasses of water tonight, and
Wow.
I'm still thirsty.
Yeah, that's funny. I've been super thirsty past 24 hours too. I wonder what it is.
I don't know. I
think I had like 6 bottles of water already this afternoon.
I'm surprised you're not running to the bathroom like every 2 minutes.
I drink a lot of water normally, so I think my bladder's used to it.
Not me.
Yeah.
Not me. Al Gray, 142 bottles, Al Gray on Twitch. That's hilarious. Purging of energy, Kira says. Maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are
Maybe.
you going to be presenting on, by the way, at the conference?
I'm at UFOCon. I'm just emceeing.
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
I'm presenting in Nebraska.
Uh-huh.
I'll be presenting Flight 21.
Oh.
Plane crash site here where we've had a lot of interaction with Sasquatch, including being escorted out.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, it's not fun. So,
Wow. Are they gonna record it? Hopefully you can put it up later.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm going to be spending a lot of time out at Flight 21 this summer.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
the weird part about it is they, as we got 10 seconds left, haven't
Mhm.
told me I'll be safe or not yet. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
Hold on right there.
yeah.
Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. The Spiritual You with Geraldine Orozco. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Geraldine Orozco's website, GeraldineOrozco.com. You can check it on out and see what you could use her for some great help for your mind, body, and soul. She's here each and every month for a little segment we like to call the Spiritual You. Geraldine, thank you for joining us.
Thank you again. My pleasure.
The biggest question we have of the night for you is coming right now.
Mhm.
Okay. And this is from Mike, who's asking, if you were stranded on an island and could only take 3 pairs of your favorite shoes, which
Stop.
ones would they be?
Stop. Dave, you answer that question since you made up the lie.
See, for our listeners, Geraldine has a 2-bedroom condo.
Whatever. Stop.
And one of the bedrooms is wall-to-wall shoes.
Lies.
Wall-to-wall.
Lies.
Yeah.
Imaginations.
I can see, honestly, I could see you with a pair of flip-flops. I could see you with a pair of running shoes,
Uh-huh.
or as you Americans like to say, sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see you with hiking boots in that situation.
Probably not, but sure.
I didn't want, look, I'm trying to be practical here. I didn't want to say your 4-inch stilettos, okay?
Nice try. Nice try. All right,
All right.
next question. Thank you, Mike.
Stilettos, that's what she's wearing.
There you
All
go.
right. Andromedan wants to know about angelic technologies. What do you think of these?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, but I think to be honest, our human perception of advanced technologies that exist in these realms, our brain cannot even conceptualize. And being on board craft many times, the technology is so beautiful. It is so organic. It is so intelligent. There is nothing on this planet like it, as far as I have seen myself. So, when we talk about angelic technologies, from the angelic realm, from the concept of maybe 11th dimension and up, we're talking about more energy, sound, frequency. That is what most of that kind of technology revolves around. So if you can think of technologies around light, technologies around sound, frequencies, energies, that's what this energy is about. And it really is a lot about patterns of harmonic, um, harmonized patterns of energy, because the more harmony that these patterns take, the more complex and the more light they can move through them in higher dimensions. So that means that there's more moving parts that are interconnected. So in that, what that means is that it becomes more organic in the way that the body is. So the communication, the interaction, the navigation is telepathic. It's 100% through biochemical responses. So when the human feels certain chemistry in the body, the technology responds. When the human has a certain kind of telepathic feeling or sense, the technology will respond. It's all based on biomarkers. So our technology with biomarkers and things like that, it's the beginning of that technology. But yeah, so you would be talking about sound, frequency, geometry, sacred geometry as we know it, which is basically just pathways of light. That's how it would be. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Mark. Is this extra dimensional existence specific to certain EBEs? Some materialize through walls into a bedroom, while others seem to require a vehicle to move between dimensions, such as in UFO sightings.
Yeah. Hey, Mark. Great to see you. So basically, yes, it really depends on the dimension from which they are emerging. The lower the dimensional plane they come from, the more physical and tangible their technology will be. The higher the dimension they come from, the less physical, less form it takes on. It's more light, it's more orbs. That's why in orbs you see like Merkabahs sometimes and geometric shapes. Those are very high dimensional beings, and usually their form can change from being super small to super large. And people tell the stories, and I've experienced as well. An orb kind of takes you in like a vortex, and inside it's this gigantic ship that you're inside of. But from the outside, it's a tiny little orb that you see. So our time and space construct is not the same anymore because you're entering again into another dimension. So yes. Let me see, how else can I answer this? Materialize through walls. Yeah, and again, like the more physical they become, remember, and another thing to remember, there's a lot of screening as well. So even when we see the being in front of us, sometimes they take from our subconscious mind an image and project that to us rather than showing their natural form, because a lot of times their natural form would really scare us, or it would just completely shock us. We wouldn't be able to understand it. So a lot of times these BD beings, they take on a form that can be digested by the human. And again, the form that they take on is based on frequency. So reptilians, draconians, I usually use those as examples as a more denser species. Usually draconians are quite connected to the military. And so you have those in my lab abductions, military abductions, those kinds of activities. So yeah. And then that kind of technology is more tangible, and you're talking about, injections, more medical settings, tunnels, underground bases, underwater bases, things like this. Okay.
Love it. All right, next question. Blue Pac-Man wants to know, what is your thoughts, Geraldine, on the Mandela effect?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful example of understanding going our perception beyond time and space, and how it breaks our concept of linear time. And there is a lot of manipulation of mind and memory that is collective that we're not aware of. So I think it's a really it's a way for us to understand that time and space is not linear. It's really rather simultaneous. And the human tunes in to parallel timelines based on their vibrational frequency. Based on our frequency, we align. That's why certain groups remember certain things, other groups remember other things. All are true because we are constantly moving in and out of many timelines. So our mind, when we think of that, we're like, all is true. What does that mean? There can only be one reality. Well, no, not really, because many people perceive things very differently. So there's many ways to move through that. The more familiar we get with laws of the universe, the easier it is to understand these kinds of shifts in time and space and the construct.
Susan would like to know, how do you find out what your hybrid race is?
So, first of all, a couple ways. I would check into your ancestral lineage first. Take a look at what country your lineage is from. What are the indigenous races connected to your ancestral bloodlines? Whether you're adopted or you are in a family, check both lineages of your biological family and also your adopted family. And then take a look at those ancestral indigenous cultures. Who were they most connected with? That will be one part, because that plays a role in a strong lineage of your genetic history, your starseed history. Secondly, take a look at the planetary systems that you're most connected to. Your astrology will play a role in that. So your astrological signs that are most prominent in your astrology, in your astrological map, whether it's tropical or the Vedic astrology, take a look at that. The astrology I'm talking about is universal and astrology, actually. But if you just take a look at the snapshot of the time, the country, and the place that you were born, you'll begin to see where your planets were at that time in your hemisphere. And that will allow you to understand the portals that were available to you of energy and influence into your subconscious mind. So that plays a role in your starseed lineages. Secondly, take a look at what planetary systems you're connected with just when you look up into the sky or when you're in dream state. When I was a child, I used to pray to the Pleiades since early, 3, 4, 5 years old. I was praying to the Pleiades. Never heard the word Pleiades before from my parents, but I had a profound connection. So, that was something that even before I even heard the word alien or understood that was innate part of me. And I had memories of that aspect of myself. So I hear this all the time with starseeds that I work with. Take a look at what those planetary systems are. Finally, your dream state. What kind of dreams are you having? The archetypal forms that take place in your dream states, in your astral projections. A great way to discover this is through hypnotherapy. When you go into hypnotherapy, we access some of this memory and you can uncover some of those more accurately. And finally, just to let you know, you are going to have a lot of strong hybrid lineages, but ultimately we are made up of everything. So we're not just one. But it's important for us too, in this process, to be aware of all of those.
I like this question. Chris Bledsoe describes selective sightings. In a crowd, the non-believer will not see the phenomena against the other believers.
Yes.
What do you think of this?
100%. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, we've held so many, CE5s, as they call them, from Stephen Greer's technique of CE5. But in so many groups of hundreds of people, a UFO in its manifestation directly above you, and from the group of 100 people, only like 60 or 80 see it, and then the rest don't see it. So seeing that very clearly over the years just really helps you understand how contact is a vibrational thing, and there's nothing that will change that truth. So I think that we need to align to the vibrational frequency of being able to interact with these beings, and in order to have contact and the quality of contact that you want to have. So when humans begin to recite Om, the mantra Om, that vibrational frequency, the letters of that mantra are shifting your body. They are vibrating your organs into a certain resonance. You are aligning with the natural Schumann resonance of the earth and cosmic energy. And this opens up your vortex of your body to expand your field. So why is love so important? Because when a human embodies love, your field is expanded. It is necessary for our field to be expanded in order to be able to access these higher dimensional ranges of frequency. Otherwise, if you're in a place of fear or anxiety, your perception and your range of processing light ranges is very, very, very small frequency range. You can only see the regular human spectrum of light. To be able to see ETs, or UFOs, you have to go beyond the human spectrum of light. Okay, so we are night watching, we're seeing the light in the sky, but your vibrational frequency, in order to process that, has to be at a certain range. And that means that you have to be expanded. So in these meditations, we open our heart, we open our throat, we open our third eye, we ground to the earth, we connect. And that is how you become aligned. And that's exactly what that man discussed in his interview, that he says that it requires humanity to come into a state of love in order to access this level of consciousness. So it is a field, guys. It is a field that we are tuning into. And yes, the veil is thinning, but if you don't know how to enter into a certain state to access the field, your experience might not be as productive and as safe as Dave was mentioning earlier, in terms of your experience.
Let's move on to another one. Let's go over to Tracy. If we dream about ETs, are we probably actually being visited by them, or would it most likely be just a dream? I've had identical ET dreams multiple times.
So our definitions of dreams have to change. That's another misconception that has been embedded into us pretty deeply through social engineering. We have been taught that our dreams are just fantasy worlds in which we make up things. And I mean, obviously through psychology as well, through the study of psychology, it is simply just the expression of your life in symbolic form. And although that is true to a certain extent, all of the greatest masters in history that have cultivated meditative states for long extended amounts of time find that we tend to organize the disorder in our subconscious mind eventually with meditation, and your dreams now become very communicative, very meaningful, very symbolic in a way that is deeply connected to your authenticity. So that's something that is cultivated with time, and I experienced it in my own, and I see it in my clients every day. Their quality of the dreams when they first start working in their internal worlds is very mixed up. They don't understand anything. It can be weird things, weird worlds, things like that don't make sense. But as they work, their dreams become more meaningful. So all that to say that if you are dreaming about ET contact, you are absolutely accessing lucidity to some extent, another dimensional plane where you're having contact. You are in another dimension. You leave your body through astral projection and you enter into another dimensional plane and you have this experience. If it is a repeated experience, you're revisiting multiple times, you have contractual agreements. And again, the whole concept of time and space, it's not linear. So we can enter into these pockets of time that we visit time and time again. We think that it's like the same thing over and over again, but actually it's how do I explain this? That aspect of ourselves is in that dimensional plane. It's reminding us once again of that existence. Okay, so we tap into that, and my invitation for you is to write down in as much detail as you can. And next time you enter into that, try to practice walking in that dream, using your free will to become lucid in that dream and navigate your environment. Because obviously you have an alternate life that you're living out in that dimensional plane. And that's what it is. We think of future lives and past lives as something in the past, but they're actually simultaneous timelines that we tap into. And that's what you're experiencing with this repeated experience in this ET realm that you're experiencing. You also want to notice, ask yourself, what kind of ETs are those? Try to draw them. Try to see what system are they from. It's going to tell you a lot about your history as well.
Let's move on as we got about 5 minutes to go here. Let's go to Shaq. Why do you spend so much time making targeted content about some? Never mind that comment. I apologize about that. Ridiculous.
I'm not sure what that's about.
It's just a shot at you, and I didn't read it properly, so that's my fault. Let's go to Blue Pac-Man. Geraldine, what are your thoughts on the Mandela effect? You mentioned that. Does this phenomena tie to the love frequency?
Yeah, so I think when we enter into a love frequency, our memory becomes activated. Okay, so the connection between love and memory is that our memory becomes expanded and that we can recover more memory. Okay, so that's really important to understand. So you become aware that the memory that is being presented to you is not the same as what you've experienced in the past. And it's important to notice those things when there's discrepancies in that, to trust that, because there's a lot of little manipulations around that. So um, ultimately, the more in love you come into, the more aligned you come into love, the easier it is to discern where those deceptions take place in human history and the narratives behind that. So it's easier to identify truth when we align with love. And that will help you recover the truth around these memories or false memories that we might be having. So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to another great question here. Let's go to Xenos. Have the Greys evolved from insectoid mantis beings?
Well, all species evolving from Draco, reptilian, dinosaurs, dragons, uh, insectoid type into gray type into mantids were the insectoids, and then into gray type, more humanoid type. So I would say actually it was the other way around. From the insectoid realm came eventually the mammal beings, and then the human beings were kind of like the later evolutionary model of consciousness in its manifested form in this dimensional plane. So yes, that's how I would answer it. But also, I mean, there are millions of different kinds of grays to that effect. There are more artificially kind of modeled grays, and then there's extremely organic, advanced interdimensional grays. Yeah. What else do I want to say about this? I don't know. That was the original form, but we do have encoded in our human ancestry both of these lineages, the mantid and the grays.
I think we got time for one more, maybe. Good
Okay.
90 seconds. See if I can find a short one. Starseed is asking, Geraldine, who does your hair? Gorgeous.
Myself, sometimes. Thank you, Starseed Awakening. So sweet.
All right. And another quick one here. Let's see. From Baby UFO. Why are so many of us anemic after an encounter?
Wow, I can do a whole presentation on that. That's interesting. Because a lot of people that do have anemia after that, when you enter into another dimensional plane and don't support yourself emotionally, um, this has a lot to do with our blood, has a lot to do with the sun and our relationship with the sun, solar flares as well, and our interaction with these cosmic movements. So the earth, the Schumann resonance, how we connect to the Schumann resonance, and how we're interacting with the sun energy through the heart. So anytime that we have an ET contact that creates fear, it disconnects us from the heart. So come back to the heart, connect to the heart. That will help replenish and heal any kind of anemic things. But can you reach out to me, Baby UFO, and I will talk to you more about that, because there's a lot of info on that I can give you.
All right, Geraldine, I want to say a big thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming back on Spaced Out Radio. We will talk to you next month at the beginning of March. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. And coming up next, we got Swamp Dweller. Yeah, our main man, Swamp Dweller, followed by Robin Haynes and the Cryptid Report. If you're in one of our social media chat rooms, make sure you get your questions ready for Robin. We'll be right back, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Thank you, my dear.
All right. Thank you, Dave. I'll see you later. Bye, everyone. Much love.
Here.
Bye.
Talk soon. Bye-bye. Geraldine, everybody. Hi, Robin. We'll bring you on in a minute. I'll be right back, everybody. Right back. All right. I'm back. Bones Jones, how you doing? Stephen Britt, welcome. Ah, yes. Yes, Splendaran. Oh, yes. I'll forget them too. I've already erased them, to be honest. I notice our person Shaq there did his typical hit and run. Lotus Spider, how you doing? Stu Effin Gerson, nice to see you. Robin Haynes, Swamp Dweller will be just a hair under 5 minutes. Robin's excited because I'm wearing my fedora tonight. I'm going to take it off. Oh. I've not watched all of it yet, Sierra. Yeah, I did see the 2026. Shaq Valet, how you doing, brother? Mike, I got your question. Thank you tonight to Susan, Andrew, and Mel WD40 for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support, everybody. Lotus Spider, how you doing? Here we go. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate tuning us on in wherever you wander on this beautiful planet, Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Valentian is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. There are some weird things that went on at my campsite throughout the years. I live in Oregon and I spend as much time in the summer camping as much as I can. I have this site that I really like that's on a mountain. I've been going there to interact with some Sasquatches that live there in the summer. The ones that come to my camp are the young ones. The adults hardly come up, but I can hear them smashing boulders in the creek. My first time there, I was with a friend of mine. I always tired out before he did, so I was asleep in the tent when I heard him say my name and told me to wake up. He said there are lights out there. I opened my eyes, and yes, it was bright. I went back to sleep. He woke me up in a more urgent tone shortly after. Get up, you gotta see this. I told him, yeah, I see the lights, they're bright, okay. I was falling back asleep before my sentence was finished. After that, I remember him saying, it's still here, just over the trees. It's just sitting here. I figured he thought we were in danger or he was scared and something like that. I never did get up though, but it made me think, well, wasn't that something? Fast forward to the next summer. I was getting used to hearing the Sasquatches at the creek, and this may have been one of the first times they were actually in my camp when I was awake for it. After listening to footsteps, bipedal ones walk up to my tent, I was so excited. Then I heard a sound that horrified me. Clicking. Have you ever seen that movie Signs? That is what it sounded like. I immediately said the first thing that popped in my head. No aliens. I don't like aliens. You know what? The clicking changed to the sounds of water in the babbling brook right away. I'm not even kidding. I couldn't believe it myself. So I thought to myself, that was rather weird, and I let it go. The next time I thought of aliens again, I was out there camping in the rain. I was waking up. On the inside of my tent, it was lit up bright for some reason. I almost went back to sleep before thinking, wait a minute, who's shining a light bright enough to light up the inside of my tent? There was no one camped anywhere around here. Sasquatch don't use lights, and by this time I was fully awake. The light was off, but I had to get up and check the premises anyway. Not until I stepped outside my tent did I realize how dark it really was outside. It was pouring down rain, but I had tarps all above my tent. So what the hell? Another small thing to just think, about and continue on. So now comes last summer. Every night I'm camping around, I turn on my Zoom 2000 recorder and record what goes on in my camp while I sleep. This is the time Sasquatches come around. I generally review the recordings in the winter, as there's more to listen to. One morning, I found my recorder set to record in WAV format rather than MP3. I always record in MP3 to save space on that little memory chip. There is a switch on the back of the recorder to turn it from WAV to MP3. So after I got home and brought it on the computer, I noticed that there was one at exactly 1 hour and 2 minutes in. At first, I was like, what the heck is going on here? I was camping alone, so it made me think, who could have possibly changed this? I start listening to the first WAV. An hour through it, I'm listening carefully past the wind blowing, past the creek flowing and my breathing. I'm listening for footsteps, clinks of things in my kitchen, etc. When all of a sudden in the recording, I let out this terrifying, blood-curdling scream. It almost made me scream listening to it back. I'm almost afraid to listen further, but I must know what happens next. Next thing I say on the recording is, oh, it's okay, I'm just going out to pee. So, who did I say this to? I don't know. I don't remember any of it. I am not one to sleepwalk or have night terrors or anything. So now what the hell could be the answer? I listened to the beginning of the one MP3 recording and it starts out with me sleeping, the second it turns on. I then hear the zipper and that's it. I would never camp alone. Well, at this point anyway. There are too many missing people and this was so weird that I feel lucky that I'm not missing. Everyone watch out when out in the wilds. It's best not to go alone. Stranger things than this are happening everywhere.
Thank you to Swamp Dweller for another great story. We very much appreciate your great support for kicking off hour number 3 here on the show each and every night. If you want more, head on over to YouTube. Type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe. He's got thousands of stories just like that for you to tune in. Let's bring in Robin. The great Robin Haynes is back. Our lady who talks with Sasquatch in the deep dark blue of the forest. How you doing?
I'm good, and I have to tell you, I love the fedora.
Okay.
You should have left it on. It was good. You are rocking it in that.
Yes, for our radio audience, you can't see it, but I was wearing a fedora and I put it back on now.
Yeah, I expect to see that in Nebraska. We are getting so pumped for Nebraska, and everything's moving along. We're like really excited. I can't wait to get you there.
I will bring the fedora to the Nebraska Foot Conference for you. How about that?
Yeah, because you're rocking it. Now, can I go off topic for just a minute?
Sure.
I had the weirdest thing happen to me. Like, this is so crazy. You know, I have been an ET abductee for years, on and off throughout my entire life. I have seen ships land in my yard. I have been taken. That's normal. Okay. I went to go let dogs in tonight because we had the last couple days they've been the Sasquatch been pounding on the house, and they did it again today, and the dogs were just barking like crazy. So I went to go let them inside. There was a majorly big craft out in my woods tonight. I'm not even, I swear to God, I'm kidding you. This thing came from, like, if you went back off my property another 150 feet, there's a big pond and it opens up back there. And between the pond and my house is nothing but solid woods. And it looked like it came from down the road and it was like tree level, got back directly behind my house, and then just started lowering itself down until it got down to the ground. And I couldn't see it once it got ground level because the brush was and the trees were too thick. This was crazy. The dogs were freaking out. I'm standing on my porch. I was talking to my best friend on the phone, and I'm like, you are really not going to believe what I'm looking at right now. It was crazy.
That is insane.
It is really insane. And I'm like, I kept thinking, I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. As many times as I've seen them, I kept thinking, I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. It's got to be some kind of like an airplane, a helicopter, even though that's not what it looked like. It had a dome, and then it had, like, traditionally, the ones I've seen don't look like the ones that, you would think the dome with the saucer underneath of them. I've seen all different shapes and sizes and stuff, but I've not seen the dome with that. I've seen one that had a little bit of a bubble, but not like this. This had a taller bubble. And then it had spinning red lights all the way around the saucer on the bottom. And when we had, like, I think it's been 2 years ago now, we had that video that my son-in-law took here that MUFON absolutely loves. In fact, they used it at their symposium, of a craft that had 2 crafts that came out behind it. And he took it from my front porch. And that thing had the spinning lights, but that was multicolored light. This was just bizarre. And I thought, it's just going to keep going. I'm probably wrong. It's got to be military. It's got to be a helicopter, a plane, whatever. And it got back there, and then it just started getting lower and lower and lower. And you could see the red from the lights spinning through the trees until it got low enough where I couldn't see it anymore. And the dogs have acted like really bizarre ever since. So I just put that out there because you are Spaced Out Radio. So
I love it. How close were you to it?
I'm like, I have a little over an acre here, but I live in the middle of the woods. And so I'm in the middle of that acre. And so you've got like another half acre back, and then another 150 feet past that, where all the trees are really thick, and then it opens up and there's like a pond or a swamp back there. It's not mine. I don't even ever go back there because the venomous snakes here are insane, which is why I'm moving. But so I don't even attempt to go back there because of the snakes. And that's the only place I can think of it went, because there's 150 acres to 200 acres of woods behind my house. And that's the only open area that I know. And it came down, it was just above the tree line. And it hovered there for a moment. Like, I got a perfect view of it. And I thought, it cannot possibly be what I'm seeing. It's going to move on. And then it just started getting lower and lower. And I could see, of course, it's winter, so there's no foliage on the trees. And I could see the light still spinning. And I could see it between the trees until it got low enough where I couldn't see it anymore. And it never, ever went past there. Those lights were so bright. Like, these were red, like almost a neon. It was so bright, and it was spinning. So it really, you could tell what, the lights, it would be impossible not to see it. It never moved past it. It never went back, and it never went back up. All I saw it was go down between the trees until I couldn't see it anymore. It was just incredible.
That's awesome.
Wasn't that crazy?
I love close sightings like that.
Yeah, and this was like
really
8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So, I mean, it was dark out. Usually when we've seen them, they've been, later in the evening, anywhere from like 10:30, 11 o'clock. I mean, we've gotten pictures of them on security cameras. We have had myself, my ex-husband, my son-in-law, and my daughter been out on the porch, like when he filmed that one that MUFON likes so much. And I mean, we've had several people that have been at the house and seen him, but that was pretty brazen. Like, that was just like right out there. And it was bigger than some of the other ones that I've seen. It wasn't huge by any means, but it was definitely not as tiny. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because I thought that was so crazy.
Well, I'm glad you shared that story with us. Does it happen often?
More than you would think. It's not like a regular thing, but we do get quite a few of them. There's been 2 of them that are they almost look like bright white lights. Like you can't see a formation of the actual ships at all. And they come together, and you can go out there. And why my son-in-law tried this, I don't know. I don't recommend it. He would flash a spotlight at them, and they would flash back the pattern he would flash, which was crazy. Now, the one of the video that was taken, that one had 2 ships that came off the back of it. And one looked like it had red lights all over it, and the other one had white lights. But the main craft was saucer shaped, and it had like something that spun around the middle of it, and just like a belt would be, with multicolored lights. The video's incredible. I mean, it's on World Bigfoot Central. He's got it listed up on there. I showed it on Cryptid Wilderness. It was on there, and I've had it on a few other shows as well. But I mean, it's an excellent video. My son-in-law set it to MUFON, which I probably would not have, but he didn't know, so he did. They wrote back right away and said it was a class 1 sighting, was not terrestrial. And then we found out later on that, without anybody asking us, they used it for their main symposium for the year as an example of a class 1 sighting. So I'm glad they enjoyed it. But yeah, it was pretty incredible. And then I've got, like I said, the security cam ones I have it has a triangular craft, and then underneath of it, an open portal, and it looks like a head with a face coming out of the portal. So we get them here more than we think. I have been outside. Igor Borstov was coming to my home to visit. He had never been here before, and he got lost. He was with Janice Carter. They got lost, and so they didn't get here till the middle of the night. And I drove to the end of my driveway because we just had a hurricane here. It knocked out the lights on the like the yard lights, so you couldn't see the house. So that if I could see them coming down the road, I would flag them down so they knew where to turn, because it's pitch black back here. And there was a triangular craft that came down the road. It was like it was following the roadway just above the trees. It was massive, and I had called a friend of mine. I was talking to her on the phone while I was waiting for them to get there, and it literally hovered right above the car. It didn't do anything to me. And I started the car and turned on the lights, and as soon as I did it, it instantly cloaked. You never saw it leave. You never saw it do anything. The thing that was so crazy with it is you never saw any type of an exhaust or anything as far as how it would move. And the thing I've noticed with every single craft I've ever seen, it's like they're a mold. There's no buckles, there's no bolts, there's no screws, there's no creases or crevices of any kind. It's like they're a solid mold. And the underside of that one looked like honeycombs. It was really crazy, but it was huge.
That's amazing. I haven't seen a UFO probably a year.
Yeah, I mean, I've had them when I was in Michigan. I had one come right down in my yard, and it was saucer shaped, but it was like the color of molten lava.
Oh,
and
nice.
It came down, and when it got about 4 foot off the ground, I don't remember anything after that. And then I remember standing in my yard, and I had my phone in my hand. I was talking to actually somebody at the time it happened, and I looked at my phone, and I was very dazed and groggy. And I looked at the phone, and it was like an hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours later. And I looked at the call log, and I called the person back, and he said, hey, kiddo, where'd you go? He said, we were talking. I thought your phone died. I figured you'd call me back tomorrow. And I'm like, I have no idea. I had no memory. I still don't know what happened, once it got down towards the ground. But I mean, I've had some where I remember being levitated up. I remember somewhere I've been actually on the ship, like I was 4 at the time. And I've had other ones where I remember being on the ship. So it was really crazy, but definitely did not expect that. Expected a Sasquatch out there? Absolutely. They have spent the last week banging on the house for some unknown reason. I don't know what the deal is, if they're just being playful. They haven't really said. They haven't told me there's any danger. But they've been very active. I did a show not quite a week ago, and they kept banging on the house during the day. So I thought, they would set the dogs off barking. So I thought, I'm going to go out and do this show tonight, and I'm going to do it in my car where it's quiet, because they would bang and then the whole house of dogs would go crazy. They'd even had the cats meowing, and I thought, you can't do a show like that. So I went out to the car thinking that it would be better, and the whole tree line just lit up with eye shine. It was crazy. So, they've been having a good time lately here. And they were out when I put the dogs out, it was dark, and I could see eye shine in the tree line and in the brush, and the dogs were barking and were running over there. So when they went crazy tonight, I just assumed that's what they were doing, because I've had them actually get over the fence and do the belly crawl across the yard where I had the dogs. I have like approximately, a third to a half acre fenced in for the dogs to play in, so they're safe. And I've actually gone out there and had a couple of the dogs out in the yard and had a Sasquatch doing the belly crawl through the yard, or seen a very long hairy arm reach over the fence from the brush, or seen them in the brush and have the dogs run over. And they're very good with my animals. I've never had a problem with it. So that's what I expected to see. I absolutely did not expect to see a craft. And they've been quite quiet, the Sasquatch have, since then. Like, I can sense they're out there, but they're not pounding on stuff as much as they were earlier today.
What is the connection, as we got about 2.5 minutes to go here, between Sasquatch and UFOs and aliens?
There's a couple. Part of it's genetics. Part of it is there are certain groups of ETs that are very friendly with them. They get along with very well. There's also some that would like to take them and destroy them and take them back. So that's where you get the connection. And because they're all high frequency beings, where you find one, you find both.
Are there, how can I put this? Are there differences between the two in frequency?
Yeah, there's a different frequency. I mean, your frequency and your energy is just like your thumbprint, biometrics, or signature. It really is. So everybody's frequency is different. Everybody's energy is different. They have a different feel to them. When you feel the Sasquatch frequency, you can definitely pick up that human lineage in them. And it's a much warmer than the ETs. The ETs, for me, when I pick it up, even the ones that are very loving, it feels a little bit more sterile, perhaps, than the Sasquatch.
I never would have known that. The connection that they have, is it an etherical connection, an alien connection? Is it a consciousness connection like we would have?
Well, all of them work through the collective consciousness. Everything actually does, depending on our frequency, is whether or not we're able to tap into it. But everything, and people are finding this out more and more, everything is done through the collective consciousness. And so with the ETs as well as the Sasquatch, they're all, they've got that collective consciousness. They're all telepathic. They all work through the consciousness. They just have a different feel to it. Everything has a different energy signature and a different frequency signature.
That energy signatures, we got about 30 seconds. Is that something that we would notice, or is that something between them?
No, you would notice it. Once you learn how to read energy signatures, you notice it. You absolutely notice it. Everybody's is different. Everything's different, and it's personalized to the person.
On that note, Robin, gonna get you to hold on right there, because that half hour went by really, really quickly. So thank you. Hanging out with us. It continues when we return from this break.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Sorry, I changed topic on you.
No, it was fantastic.
It was just, like you said, it just happened about 9:30, 10, or no, about 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And I thought, I got to tell you guys, because I mean, it's spaced out radio.
Yeah,
Your
you
audience, your audience gets it, but definitely
do.
was not expecting that.
You totally got to tell us.
Yeah, like I've had little drones from ships that have been come down, and the one, they always talk about, like with crop circles, it's like they have that burned aspect to this, to wherever they've landed in the pattern. When the drones have come down, I've had one in my front yard and one in the backyard, and they're really not overly big. I would say, oh my gosh, 5-6 feet around. That's not big. It's just a little pod. And I had one come down in my front yard, and it burnt the grass underneath of it. And it was almost 4 years before the grass grew back. And it still has not grown back completely. It's still relatively dead there. And it was a perfect circle. It was so symmetrical. You could not have drawn a circle that way if you wanted to. Like if you used a protractor like you had in school, for math, you couldn't get a more perfect circle than this thing. And it did it. And then it was like 2 years later, one went into the backyard.
Give me 1 second here. Shaq, I don't know what the hell you're talking about being in the know or stuff happening. You got to be more clear. If you want me to help you out, you got to be more clear and talk English a little bit, man. You're on a rant that nobody understands, and that's why people are getting upset in the chat room, man. Just explain what happened. You tried to light up a guest on my show. You snuck a question in that I accidentally was going to ask, which is complete ludicrous. It goes against what we do. So, not with you, Robin, with Geraldine. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm trying to figure it out, and I don't know. So if you would like to take us back about 28 steps, maybe 29, and just tell us what is ruffling your feathers, maybe we could work it out. Okay? That's why people are getting fired up with you, man. Sorry, Robin.
Oh, you're fine. That's perfectly fine. I mean, we have a lot more UFOs right now. There's a lot of things that are going on our planet. I mean, we're considered to be in the new Earth now, and we've got races that have always lived here. We have races that are in underground that have lived here, and now we have a lot that have come in from the universe and are here as well. So I think of all the times in history, we've got more here now than we probably ever have. That being said, most of them are good. I didn't feel anything like, energy signatures. Everybody has them. Everything does. I don't care if it's a Kleenex, a chair, everything has an energy signature once you learn how to read it. I didn't feel anything bad out of what was there. Like, I really did not feel anything bad. Like I wasn't frightened. I wasn't nervous about it. I was like, okay, it's my house. It doesn't surprise me at this point. But I haven't picked up anything bad off of it. But I haven't seen it either. Once it went down, like I saw those lights through the trees, and as it lowered itself down, and then it got so low the brush was too thick, I couldn't see it anymore, and it never came back up. So I don't know what's going out there now.
No idea. Sounds awesome, though.
Yeah. We'll see what goes on tonight. It ought to be a long night. I'm hoping it doesn't set the dogs off, because they do every now and then.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I love it. My dogs never got set off. Even when the ETs were in my house, they never got set off.
Now, I've had them come into the house and the dogs never made a sound because they trance them, just like the Sasquatch does.
Yeah.
And they stay dead quiet. But if they're just like mobile outside, depending, I've had it go both ways. And they sure went off when the craft was there. It was ridiculous. But then as soon as I opened the door, they couldn't haul their butts back in the house quick enough either. And
True.
usually when it's just Sasquatch, they want to be out there with them. They really do enjoy them. I'm very blessed because they've never tried to hurt even my mini pigs. They have never tried to hurt even the mini pigs.
I like mini pigs.
I love my pigs. They don't know they're pigs. They always stay in climate controlled places. I mean, they have air conditioning, they have heaters. They don't, and God forbid they be in any kind of precipitation or outside overnight. But
Hold right,
yeah.
Robin. You got 5 seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's Robin Haynes with the Cryptid Report, talking about the connection between Bigfoot and aliens. Oh, yeah, it's a thing, people. It is a thing, right, Robin?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like it or hate it, it's the reality. It is. When you find one, you find the other. It's only a matter of time.
Let's get to some audience questions. Start off with Joe here, because he has nice hair. What do the Bigfoot think of the alien craft and the aliens?
The interesting thing about it is when I was in Michigan, the group I worked with there, I was very close to them and they gave me a lot of information. I mean, I would go out there and sit with them every night and I'd ask them questions and I was able to get a lot of information. What I noticed with that particular group and here as well, there's certain groups of ETs they're very comfortable with and they don't act frightened and they don't hide and they don't take off. But there are groups that actually do want to harm the Sasquatch and they are terrified of those. They actually are absolutely terrified. We'll hide, we'll get out of there, we'll go, underground, we'll do whatever they have to do to avoid them. There also is, and I know how crazy this sounds, sorry guys, there is, and I've seen these, they're almost robotic and they look like a Sasquatch and they're not. They're not telepathic. They don't have abilities. They act like they're robotic. And we had a craft land in Michigan at the back of my property. And I had witnesses to it. I wasn't the only one that saw it. And it opened up and these things came out of it. And again, everything has an energy signature. If the energy signature doesn't match, then it's not what you think it is. These things were not Sasquatch. They were not telepathic. They were soulless. And the Sasquatch were petrified of them, like absolutely terrified. And I was told that they're there to take them and destroy them. And so my group all just took off and hid. I don't know that they ever got hold of any of them that night. I never saw that they did. I just saw them come off the craft and I saw them go back on the craft and leave. So it was very, very bizarre. Never in my lifetime would I think I'd have seen anything like that. But there is a lot of them, of the ETs, that the Sasquatch are very comfortable with. There's witnesses that have seen them actually on crafts with ETs. Secret Space Program has talked about them being up on the ships. I've heard different things. I did talk to a woman years ago that was supposedly, I don't have any proof of it, part of the Galactic Federation, and there was one up there. They actually do have a relationship okay with them. Now, some of the ones that I've talked to dislike them immensely. They don't trust them at all. They think they're all evil. But then it just depends on the clan that you're working with. My Michigan group and the ones here were comfortable with them. I just have not seen that they've had an issue. If you get over to some of your southern states, it depends. And it depends what group comes in.
All right, let's move on to another. Or before I do, let me ask this question. Because all of a sudden I had a brain thought. That doesn't happen too much at this time. Are there any alien species the Sasquatch are afraid of?
Yeah, there are. What the name of they are, I know some of the reptilians they don't like, but to be clear, there is good reptilians and bad reptilians. So some of them they don't like at all. I have not noticed them fearful of the grays, but there are over 1,000 races of grays. So, certain ones they probably could be. I don't to say, this particular race they have problems with. Obviously, there's no problems with Pleiadians, Arcturians. A lot of the ones that we know are good, they seem to be very comfortable with those. But the negative races of ETs, they want nothing to do with. And you have to remember that Sasquatch is a high frequency being, just as the ETs are. They are empathetic, they read energy, and anything in lower frequency, they don't want to be around. It makes them physically ill. They can't handle that. And so when you get into these races of ETs that are bad, they are lower frequency. They are not high frequency, they're low frequency. And the Sasquatch don't want anything to do with them. And those are those same ones that would come in and try to hurt them. Because anything low frequency wants to take out anything high frequency. Because the high frequency can kill it, and they are uncomfortable around it, just like opposing magnets.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Mike. Robin, do you think researchers mistake aggressiveness with dominance when it comes to certain growls and activity?
Yes, I actually do. You have to remember when a Sasquatch is making noise, we bring our vocals out of the upper part of our throat. Theirs comes down in the clavicle. They have a wider voice range. They can go higher, but they can also go lower. Some of those growls can be misinterpreted. They may be saying a word and it comes out sounding more like a growl. The ones that I've physically, talked to and gotten vocals back and forth, word exchanges, sentence exchanges, those kinds of things, it is very hard to understand them at times. There are times where they'll growl and people are like, oh my gosh, they're being aggressive. And I've had situations, especially my neighbor next door, where that is not the case. They were simply letting that person know they were standing there. It wasn't aggressive. Do I think that some of it can be dominance? I absolutely do. These are higher, frequency beings. They like to assert that dominance. They feel safer that way. That doesn't mean they're going to hurt you. It means they're taking control of the situation. They feel safer when they're in control. We generally do better when we, to a degree, let them, have more control as far as the decision-making process on how things are going to work. That does not mean that you do what they say. That does not mean that you let them have power over you or anything like that. So please don't go that route with it. But they do like to feel like they control the situation. It makes them more comfortable. So like if you're out in their area, like when I go out, as long as it's something that I don't think is harmful to me or anybody else, I let them take the lead. I give them that, let's do this your way because I'm interacting with you in your turf. Now, if I feel it's something that would be harmful to me or somebody else, no. I make sure, whether I can control it or not, I make sure my voice is heard and I make sure they know that I'm not going to, just go along with it.
I love that answer. Love that answer. I'm still trying to figure out what the growls mean because when you hear them up close and personal, it's different when it's way off in the distance. Okay.
Yeah.
But when they're close, I still can't really tell the difference between a bear growl and a Sasquatch growl.
Yeah. And, a lot of times they could do it, whether it's to scare you, but I think more times than not, it's not aggressiveness. I have to agree with Mike on this one. I think it's more dominance. They want to feel that they're the dominant race or species at that point in time because it makes them feel safer. If we go someplace, we want to feel like we have control of it at all times. They're not any different, but they do have, those vocals come from down here and that clavicle, and it is much deeper. When they're close to you and they do that growl, my gosh, it vibrates your whole body. You know, I have one that I speak with, and when he does it, I love it. You know, I mean, depending on which growl he does is whether or not he sounds like Chewbacca or whether he sounds like he's just that guttural, but it does. I mean, it vibrates because it's so low in their chest. But I personally don't feel that it's always aggressiveness at all. Intimidation, maybe, that show of dominance. But more times than not, it's not aggressiveness because they don't follow up and do anything afterwards. It's anything from letting you know they're there to, I don't know if you're going to be safe to be around or not. Are you, little hairless human, going to hurt me? But I'm going to make sure you understand I'm more dominant than you are. So I have to agree with Mike on that one. That was a really good question.
All right, let's continue on here. Let's go to a follow-up from Mike. What country do you think Bigfoot actually originated from?
Honestly, that's an excellent question. I wish I knew it. I really do. Some of the stuff that comes up in their DNA, I don't think that there's any one straight country that they originated from, because the variety in the DNA has been so spread out that I guess I really don't know to begin with. I don't have a complete answer for that question. What do I believe and what do I think? I think they've been spread out all over the place because there's a wide variety of things in that DNA, where they have most things that are the same as far as origination from different countries. It seems pretty spread out.
Let's move on here. Let's go over to Mr. NHI. I once heard about a craft filled with Anubis dogs. Now, I got to tell you, before we continue on with this, Robin, I've heard this before, and I've heard that the Anubis are a very destructive alien creature that has come down. They've been found in Brazil. They've been found in Afghanistan, never in North America, but they seem to be in very strange places.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I really have. And I think we need to realize that there's several ways that the dog people came about. I mean, whether it's government created, we already know those are going to kill you. Some that are Egyptian, some that have come from various places. The ETs have created them. The Ebens, what we call the Ebens. And when we sent people to Planet Serpo, which we sent, I think it was 13 that went to Serpo, one died en route there. And they were there for several years. And they were there when they were creating them there. And they said that, they had the head of it like a German Shepherd. Now, those I've never heard were aggressive. I haven't heard anything that said they weren't, but I've never heard that they were aggressive. But there are a lot of different kinds of dogmen. And I think this has a lot to do with the problems people have with them. Regardless, whatever they've been the hybrid came from, whatever kind of breed of canine, has a lot to do with the look. The ones that look like Anubis, I've heard that, they are really structured. They are very powerful. They are very stoic. We have some that just have the German Shepherd head, but the Anubis ones seem a lot tougher, a lot more muscular. And I have heard before that they've had crafts filled with them, but that would go along with certain races of ETs that are creating them genetically. I know the Ebens did. We named them the Ebens. I don't know what they actually are called, but we called them the Ebens. And on Serpo. And there's a lot written about that. Like if you were to get, the book or whatever on that, it will talk about when they created them there. A lot of the ETs create a lot of hybrids. That's just a fact. And you're talking about literally thousands and thousands and thousands of different races of ETs. And they're all doing genetic manipulation. It's all something that they can all do. So we don't know. And then you put our government in that mix, and I don't care what anybody says, they're creating things too. I know what they do to the Sasquatch alone. They didn't create Sasquatch, but I know what they've done as far as genetically taking DNA from them. So, there's that as well. But I have also heard that they've had crafts that have had them on there. Heard of people that have seen crafts with the Sasquatch on them.
I have never seen that happen, but I've heard of it happening many a time.
Mm-hmm.
People being abducted, they look around, they see Sasquatch, they see Dogman, they see all sorts of strange creatures on there. That is something not to be forgotten.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go to our next question. Joe is asking, how do your Bigfoot get along with Dogman?
Well, there's two sides to that coin. The ones that were around me in Michigan, the ones that have been around me my whole life, as well as South Carolina, as well as where I'm planning to move to, they get along fine. They're not, the ones in Michigan, actually, there was one that actually a dog person bred with the Sasquatch. And the result was, we called her Trudy because we didn't know what to call her. And she ended up looking more like a teddy bear. She had, like a shortened muzzle, but she had the little ears and everything. So in certain aspects, they get along well. They don't normally hang out together. They can live side by side. They can share territory. But there are also places on our planet that they won't be even remotely close to each other. It just depends on the clans or the pack and what they will do. I know a lot of people that I've talked to have said, oh, you can't get them to, they won't share the same space. And there are areas that happens. They won't share that space. But I'm here to tell you, I have watched them, I've had Sasquatch and Dogman in my yard at the same time. First time I saw Trudy, she was standing there and there was a Sasquatch next to her and a Dogman not far from her. My property that I had in Michigan, they were both there. Like they were there all the time. Are they walking around holding hands and, having dinner together? No. I never saw that. And Trudy was the only hybrid that I've seen, although I'm sure there are multiple other ones wherever. But some of them, they share territory quite nicely. I've got 3 or 4 clans of Sasquatch that visit through here, but I also have got packs of Dogmen that run it. My next door neighbor's even seen the Dogmen as well, and she's also seen the Sasquatch in her yard. So it just depends on your location and the groups.
Gotcha. I think we got time for one more question here. Derek wants to know, we got 2 from Derek. Have you ever had any pigman sightings?
I have not. I've seen one that had the head of a possum and the body of a man. I've seen some really crazy things that were undescribable that were hybrids, but I have not seen a pigman, no.
All right. And the follow-up question, getting back to the Dogman, have Bigfoot and Dogman ever mated?
Yes. In my personal opinion, can I prove it? Do I have DNA that would prove it? I don't. In my personal opinion, yes. I know what Trudy looked like. And I know that the Sasquatch that was with her was also seen a number of times with that Dogman. And I know what she looks like. In fact, I actually have a picture of her. And she has the body of a Sasquatch. She has a tail like a Dogman. She has little tiny ears that almost look like a bear. And she has more of a Sasquatch face, but it's covered in hair. And then there's a small snout. It's not a gugwi. Gugwi don't have tail. They don't have ears like that. They have that pronounced snout that looks like a baboon. That is not what she looked like. She looked like the perfect cross between the two. And I had seen that particular Dogman and Sasquatch with each other multiple times. So in my personal opinion, absolutely. And I think once Melba Ketchum gets done with the Dogman DNA, that we're going to find out that there's probably a link there.
All right. Final question from Jennifer. What is the Bigfoot lifespan, and do they bury their dead?
They absolutely bury their dead. They, in our world, we would call it a funeral. They will have some kind of thing that they do. They also bury them a certain way that's traditional for them. A lifespan, if you are looking at one that does not use the paranormal abilities, would, be very comparable to us. the ones that use the paranormal abilities, because they use that higher frequency. You have to have a high frequency to use the abilities. The ones that aren't using the abilities, well, they may be a higher frequency, they're not that high. So it doesn't protect them from a lot of things, and they do have a shorter lifespan. I have talked to some that are 300 and 400 years old. I talked to one that was 900. So, I would say an average lifespan, to be more accurate, would be anywhere up to 400 years old. But it is not unheard of for them to live much older than that. I've talked to some that are 700 and 900 years old. But they are very high frequency. They use the paranormal abilities, which helps them live longer as well, because they are a much higher frequency. Frequency is that when you have a higher frequency, you live longer. It takes care of health issues that you might have because it's all frequency based, and it gives them that longer lifespan.
Will do. Robin, how can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on Facebook under Robin Haynes, Haynes, no middle initial, or you can find me at www.paranormal-empowerment.com.
I think that is wonderful. And for you, tell everybody where they can get tickets for the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference.
Yeah, you can go on, look up Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. It is April 25th and 26th of 2025. And we've got some great guests this year. Dave's going to be there, of course. We can't do it without him. We've got Rob Kreider's supposed to be there. We've got Blaine Tyler and his wife, Lisa. We have Christian McLeod. We have Daryl Denton, Christy Sci-Fi. I'm trying to remember everybody that I've got on the list. My goodness. We have L.A. Marzulli's coming this year. So he will be there. We're working on a few other guests that we're going to sneak in there as well. So, we've got some really good people. We're really excited about it. We have a lot of fun. We get a lot of comments after that. Everybody's like, this is just so laid back. It's like being there with family. We have a good time.
Robin Haynes, hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot. Rocking in the background of the brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official Sage Down Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar, God himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elga, Facebook, Streamer, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, #SpaceOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Space Out Radio and SMR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the little train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right.
All right. We will see you next week, my friend.
Yes, you will.
Take care, sweetie. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Robin Haynes, everybody. This will be Feb 3, 4, 25. we go. Just like that. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Was anybody ever able to figure out what the hell Shaq was talking about? I did not get that. I did not get any of that. It was way over my head. Good. So I'm not the only one. Like, it was out there. And then to end that I have an NDA. I would like to know, because if I have an NDA, I would sure like to be paid on that. Well, he started off, and I didn't catch the question. I caught it right at the end and realized as I was reading it that it was an absolute insult to Geraldine. So that's why I cut the question out. I don't like that stuff. I don't like it. I would agree with you, Fast Hemi. There may have been some emotional damage that he was taking out on us. He thought Geraldine was stalking him for her monetary use. Highly doubt that. Well, it's not there yet. I have to wait for it to load. All right, where are we here? Should be able to download. No, perfect. Hi, Christine Lynn. Baby UFO, you made it back. Hi, Skip. I'm tired. This is the end, my friend. That's good audio right there. That looks good. Joanne, Dave doesn't even know how he does it. I think it's out of, to be honest with you, I think it's out of a little bit of stupidity, and B, out of the fact that I have a dream and I'm trying to live that dream. And add to the fact that I got a fresh container of Jell-O upstairs waiting for me. I love Jell-O. I don't care what anybody says. Jell-O is the best, one of the best. If I was on one of those like hardcore diets, I would not give up Jell-O or bacon. Upstairs is red strawberry, but I much prefer orange Jell-O. I've always had a thing for orange Jell-O ever since I was a kid. I'll eat the whole frickin' bowl. It's not like, oh, I'll eat half and save half for tomorrow. Absolutely not. I will drop that entire bowl down my gullet tonight. Just saying. And there's nothing any of you can do to stop me. Blue and green Jell-O is good. I like blue Jell-O. Does El Ovni Volador ever do any Jell-O wrestling? How would I know? You see, this is, Paramarv here trying to suggest that in some way, shape, or form that I am El Ovni Volador. That couldn't be further from the truth, Paramarv. I am not El Ovni Volador, never have been El Ovni Volador. And personally, I think you were on drugs for thinking that. Hardcore drugs. You need to be tested. Fap, I'll lose my hat when you stop chewing your toenails off. Beard is tight. Beard is very tight. Major Lee, good morning to you. How's the puppies? My lip still hurts. Yeah, you can look. You can see the mark on it. Look at that. Right there. See that? Right there. No, that's from a hockey fight my son and I got in earlier, and he decked me in the mouth. Proud of him. I didn't even realize it left the mark. Like, look. Oh, come on. It's not that hard. Right there. That's pretty good. I can't wait to show him tomorrow. He's going to be so proud. Yeah, he hit me. His hands are so tiny. It pushed my lip up and into my teeth. Hopefully. Moody Mongol, what's happening? Moody, you forgot to add that the fact that I also have an NDA, apparently. Yeah, that's the latest rumor came out today in the chat room earlier, is that I have an NDA. Here you go, Moody. There you go. I'm proud of him. Gorgeous Larry, good morning to you. It's Gorgeous Larry, everybody. Who's on tomorrow night? Larry Arnold tomorrow night. We're going to talk about a topic we've never talked about on this show before. Spontaneous human combustion. How cool is that? Dirty Filth pulling one from deep inside the pocket where the lint hides out to get this awesome guest. Big thank you tonight to Susan, Andrew, the trucker, and Mel WD40 for the super chats. We're going to call it the night here. Appreciate every one of you being here. We'll talk very soon. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.